they've experienced the service, it was just on the other side. So they know us and what we do.
It's more often the buyer that we're adopting on our
Yeah.
listing because we know where they live. And we've had, some houses, we sold that house over and over and we never represented the buyer. But the buyer who bought the house calls us
Comes
because
back.
our sign was on the house before.
Yeah.
And so we're keeping the seller of that house and
Just think, guys, that doubles your database. I mean, your database is everything to you, everything, Yes, sir.
Are you able to share how you pay your different individuals on your team?
Oh, sure. We, it started with Marta, and I think we gave her 1%, and it was 1% of very little. But she knew that coming on board, we didn't do that. Now, Marta worked in the office for 9.5 years, and now her parents became ill in Chicago. So she's a virtual assistant, you all know what that is, VA, for us from her home in Chicago. And the last year she was in the office, I believe Marta made like $205,000.
Wow.
Right. So, but they all get, and it's a small amount, but you see when you do big numbers, it's a lot of money.
every closing, there's like 20 checks, 25 checks, depending on the, a showing agent doesn't get every transaction, but they get a bigger piece of the transactions worth.
Sure.
But everybody else, they're getting a piece of it.
So basically, everybody's on a commission.
That is correct.
It's
No salary.
a
See,
split.
we didn't know anything about real estate, but we wanted them to be vested in the outcome of every deal, okay? And that was the only way I knew how to do it, So,
Every client is a client of Those Callaways. Every time they talk to a client, they know that it's going to directly affect their pocketbook, and they know that they're directly affecting every other team member's pocketbook. So they have a heavy responsibility. And the question about cross training and picking up the slack and stuff, it's just taken for granted. If so and so is going on vacation, well, so and so is going to cover this, and so and so is going to go. I mean, they just work it out because it's a true team effort.
right. And they do that without us.
Okay.
I mean, 100%.
Go ahead, question.
Yeah, I was just curious, I know you send everything out for Christmas and whatnot, but do you differentiate your database depending on religious
No,
beliefs or anything?
no. I used to do a special ornament that was Jewish, okay, because I have a lot of Jewish clients, and this is what they do. JoAnn, couldn't I just have a Christmas ornament, please? I mean, I would tell you that 2/3 of them ask, and so I just dropped it, and they all get Christmas ornaments, and they love them and thank us just the same as, all of us sort of
for most people,
missing
Christmas
mass
is
Catholics.
Christmas. For Christian people, it's got a Christianity to it, but a lot of people, they're not Christian, but Christmas is special.
But I am respectful of it, like I don't do an
Absolutely.
Easter card,
No, that we don't.
right, but Christmas just seems to forgive all things.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you talk about the ornaments. Like one of them that I really still treasure, it's a little hanger, and it has 4 stockings on it. And on one they wrote Pat, on another they wrote Marge, on the third one they put Teddy, and the fourth one they put Gidget, our dogs. And I mean, how cute is that? And I don't care where you put it or anything else. I mean, it's just little things like that, or a Santa Claus hat, or their suits, and they'll just write your names. I mean, they literally do this themselves for them, and it's just inexpensive, but very meaningful and very telling.
What it is, guys, is hard work. That's what it is,
You always
okay.
want to personalize anything you give them, put their name on it.
Yeah, Paul, did you
Paul
have?
Moore,
You have
my good friend, Paul.
Thank you.
Yes,
You've mentioned that you got to gather a lot of information about your clients, so it does
Absolutely.
personalize it. Besides sending out the other items of value and such like that, do you send out birthday cards specific to them
Yes.
and anniversary cards?
yes, both.
Right.
Right, that's
Good.
one of the 14 touches.
Wonderful.
We do birthday cards, and we do them once a week, and we do anniversary cards. And anniversary cards are a pain, let me tell you, because, it's 5 years, 4 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, Our database thing, like for the Cherokees, for Bud and Angie. Anyway, it would, if we spit out of the computer, it'd probably be 18, 19 pages
Yeah.
of what we've done with them
Because
over
we
the
track
years.
everything that they've ever gotten.
Right.
Is on that
And
record
every
as well.
referral they've ever done, and, you know, all that kind of thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Curious what you do to keep your database updated. You mentioned anniversary card. It would be very embarrassing to send a card out to a couple who since divorced. Do you periodically send out a request for an update to your database?
Well, you
to the
see,
information
we,
you have, or how-
right, we mail them constantly, okay? So we get updates all the time. Like, even if they don't tell us, the post office will tell us because it goes first-class mail, okay? And the minute we find out someone's divorced, then we split that database into two, you know, into the husband and the wife.
Every now and then, somebody's passed away, and we
Gosh,
get a
that makes
we get
me feel
a kind thank you. But you know, George died 6 months ago. and,
Please, you know,
but,
JoAnn, it's from
but,
Mary.
I mean, there's
yeah.
no other way to know unless they let us know. But,
Yeah. But it stays pretty current, I would tell you, you know, like
So they're pretty
98%.
good about letting you know.
Oh, yes, because they want,
Oh,
you know,
sure.
if I miss something like, we have a birthday bash card that goes out, because we celebrate once a year, the birthdays of all of the team, because we can't do it every day, you know, that there's a birthday, we're too busy. So we have a birthday bash, and if you want to see these pictures, they're all on our website and on the blog. You can see the birthday parties and everything like that. And so we include clients in whatever we do, so they get a birthday bash. So, and I unselfishly decided to do it on my birthday. So it's May 15th, and I mean, one time, I don't know how I did this, but I somehow or another did not mail the clients a birthday bash card. I want you to tell you that our phones rang incessantly. We got emails, everything. JoAnn, are you okay? What's going on? They know our situation better than we do.
And the reason she also picked May 15th, her favorite day of the year is her birthday.
That's right.
She
I
has
love
more
my
fun
birthday.
on her birthday,
I
which
do.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any other client appreciation events during the year other than the birthday bash, or is that kind of it?
You mean for the clients?
Or you invite them to?
No,
whatever.
no, there's too many of
It's
them.
so big, you wouldn't be able to.
No, you can't do it. You can't do
But
it.
I'll tell you.
But somebody asked me, do I differentiate? Was it you, sir, back here? You know, in other words, like A or A plus clients or things like that. A client is a client is a client to us.
I'll tell you something. This is something we haven't told anybody because it just happened a little while back.
What are you saying?
We had a
Well, Joseph,
we had a client come, and his name's Robert, and he's in assisted living, but he's very mobile, and he came to our office. He's 87. He's 87, and he said, "Could you come to what's it
Pueblo
called?
del Norte.
Pueblo del Norte, and speak to our reading group, you know, about the book." And so we went to, and the audience members were in their 80s, all of them. And then afterwards, he insisted we ate at the cafeteria, and but there was about 30 people there, and they listened very attentively and everything. And then several of them came up afterwards, and they were clients that we had sold back when, and they're still getting their ornaments, and it's like the most special thing to them that occurs all year. And, you know, this one lady, she said, "You know, my kids are looking for a house. I'm going to make sure that they call you." And they did. You know, it's, you know, you never know where it's going to come from. You can't measure what you give. You have to give, and it'll always come back to you.
you can't give it away.
No.
You cannot. Absolutely not.
What else? What other questions? We want to be sure that you get these. Yes.
With all of the advances in technology, and particularly the pressure that's out there to utilize social media and so forth, how are you adapting or evolving your business to take that in? You've obviously come out of a very traditional model in terms
Absolutely.
of how you've grown it. So what do you see as the challenges for your company in accepting and bringing that in to enhance what you do?
Well, I have two answers for you for that. The first answer is, it really seems to us that the more traditional we are, the better we do in this world of technology. The more people appreciate it, the more they respond to it. But in doing the book, we didn't have, I mean, we've had our website forever, and it's just about actually to be redone. And, you know, we do videos for, you know, homes 500 and up and et cetera. But we'd never done social media. It's my fault. I don't care for it. I would never get up on any of this stuff and tell them, oh, I had lunch today, like I think somebody cares, you know, that I had lunch today, you know. And so, but the publisher, you know, of our book, absolutely there was no choice whatsoever. So we hired someone to do social media. So this is the conclusion, and it's very good and everything, and it's certainly done its part in the book. But I don't believe it's social media that sells houses or sells books or sells anything else. I think today's world is sort of this big sphere, and you must have this sphere filled in. You know, I think social media is part of your world, and I think the digital world is part of our world. That always has been. So I think it's just part of it, and I think you have to go with the flow, so to speak. But I want to tell you, the more we go in that direction, the more the clients, especially young clients, appreciate the traditional things we do. Amazing. You know, the Y generation? Y generation are huge, huge fans for us.
Suckers. Suckers. I just want to get closer to you guys.
So when so many people are getting there and being bombarded with email, and then they get an envelope in the mail.
Absolutely.
That's
right.
an event, you know, it's different.
Absolutely.
You had a question again?
No, okay.
Okay, anybody else? Yes.
When a past client sends you a referral, do you
Yes.
thank them in any way? Do you say anything to them?
Oh, of course I did.
Okay, her question was, when a past client sends you a referral, what do you do for them?
Then the Tiffany arsenal comes out. And I send them something from Tiffany's. But you know, it's like two stem wares. You know, everything with Tiffany's is the blue box and the presentation, and it has great meaning in Joseph and I's life, because when we were kids, we had to go to New York City a lot for business. And so we would go into the Tiffany store, and I mean, we might as well have been going to Moon as far as us buying anything there. But I want you to know, way back when, because this is like, you know, 35 years ago, when you went into Tiffany's, they knew you. If you hadn't been in that store for 3 years, I have no idea how you hit that front door and somebody was going to, oh, Mrs. Callaway, it's so good to see you again. And it wasn't because, I mean, we didn't buy, you know, $25 a year from them. But that was your account number. Your account number was your name. So it always looked like, I mean, Joseph and I are from Decatur, Illinois, and you know, my family are all farmers, you know, and the bane of my life was I grew up on Gravel Pit Road. And I mean, I wouldn't write my address. That was so humiliating to me that I actually lived on Gravel Pit Road.
There was no gravel pit, just gravel pit road.
It was just the name of the street. But, you know, you'll know what young girls are like. And, you know, I didn't want anyone to know I lived on Gravel Pit Road. So anyway, but so Tiffany's always looked like, you know, something, you know, just far beyond our reach. So when I sold
They
the
only
first...
had the one store in New York.
that was all,
This
yeah.
is back in the 70s.
And when I first sold the Tiffany Executive, I was so impressed. Oh my gosh. You know, I mean, some of our clients are just unbelievable, unbelievable. There's the gentleman whose wife was buying this little $200,000 home for a meeting home for her friends. And he was going to pay cash. And the sellers of that home were very strict. And so I went to the bank referral and asked the bank, you know, could these people afford, you know, to pay me cash for this $200,000 home? And the banker said, sit down, honey. And he said, let's see, this is the gentleman who invented the computer for Mercedes-Benz to assemble the engines, and now it's used in every automobile assembly in the world. And I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he's he's a hundred millionaire. I don't know if he's gone to the other or not. And the man just cracked up, you know, that I asked him that. And he's just the dearest friend, and when I need good advice, he's very sage, very smart. I call him and ask him, you know, should I do this, or, you know, things like that. So the clients are as diverse as, you know, as all of us are in here, you know, so.
Yes,
I answered your question, right? Okay.
yes.
And,
Clients' first open house is the way you got started.
yes,
But
it's
seems
what
like-
we do today.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it seems like that database is key. Do you guys handle that personally, or do you have somebody help you?
No, we have a historian. Her name is Margaret, and Margaret lives in Sunburst Farms, and I needed to sell her home. And she just, you know, she intimidated, she was going to let me sell this house and everything. So, you know, I would send her notes, and Margaret, are you getting closer? Because we needed homes in Sunburst Farms. And so one day she called me and she said, JoAnn, you won't have to call me anymore because I've lost my job and I can't do what I wanted to do. And I said, well, why don't you come see me, Margaret? And that was probably 11 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that. And she did. And she's been my historian ever since, because I thought that sounded so sophisticated to have a historian, you know, on staff, you know. But she knows, she takes care of the database. She takes care of all of our archives. She takes care of all of, to see that the clients get copies of all of their advertising. I mean, she does 10,000 things. And she's just the most unbelievable human being, honestly.
We have probably 500 banker boxes of records, and, you know, I can buzz Margaret and say, I can give her an address, and I can say, I need that file on that. And
It's yours.
10 minutes later, here she comes the file from
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And she
Okay,
knows where everything
one
is.
last question, Daniel?
Just when you were getting started, I'm a new agent and I'm just getting going.
Congratulations.
It's
Thank
a
you.
wonderful time.
But when you were getting started, I mean, there's a lot of jobs, and it sounds like some of them you were able to share at the beginning. But you know, which projects did you prioritize, and how did you juggle all these different tasks, like maintaining the database and things like that, when you had to do it all between the two of you?
You know, what you have to do when you begin is decide who's going to be your assistant, because you cannot be all things to all people. So that is your first hire, and it's a very, very, very important hire if they only work for you 10 hours a week. Let's say that's all you can afford, you know, but that person is important to you, and you must pick the right person. Of all the hires you're going to make, that's the most important one. So you need someone who can help you do that juggling, because you can't do it by yourself. Joseph designed this ad, and it's a one-man band. It's the guy with the thing on his foot, you know, and he's going like this, and he's got stuff on his head and everything. And then on the other side, he put, you know, this beautiful orchestra with a conductor. And so his idea was to say, would you rather be a one-man band, or would you rather, you know, be a full orchestra? I would not let him run that ad, because I felt it was offensive to people who do business singularly. But the reality is, that's the truth. That is the absolute truth.
Okay, if I may, because I know you've moved your listing appointment out.
Oh, well.
However, what I would like you to do, if you will, is tell them how they can buy your book, if they want one.
Okay.
What it brings with them, because you do have some promotions with, you know, the
Right, that's the piece of paper. Right.
conferences and so forth. So, oh, did you give it to everybody?
Yeah, I passed it out, and you don't have to buy a book. Just sign
No,
it.
just send it in, we'll send it to you. It's free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I didn't know you had passed that out already.
I do want to leave them, Danny. Do we have time for a story? Because I want to leave them with this story.
I don't want to have the last word, so let me just say, from us, how much we appreciate you guys coming. This was special. I mean, this really was.
Well, this is one of my favorite client stories, and I want to tell you what clients can do for you. There was a gentleman, and his name, I'm going to tell you his name, was a mortgage officer in this valley. And he called on us to sell his home. He was moving to Iowa. And so we sold his home, and then every so often, where he worked in his office, they would refer a client to us because he was impressed with the job we did. So it got to be REO time. And Wells Fargo came to see us and asked us about doing luxury REOs. And I said, oh, thank you so much, but I really only want to take care of my clients, and I don't want to do REOs, okay? So that was in like the spring, and at that point, this valley had like 5% REOs. By fall, we had 70% of our business was REOs. So Joseph said, JoAnn, I think you've made a mistake, babe. I said, okay, no problem, I'll call them. So I called Wells Fargo and said, you know, if you remember me and you came to see me, and so, I'm ready now, and he said, no, thank you. So I did learn banks do not like to be told no. So anyway, so I did everything. I mean, I have a lot of contacts in this state. I worked with all kinds of mortgage officers, people who were over the state. I wrote letters. I did everything. And like 6 months later, I was no further along than I was to start with. So I get this letter in the mail, and I notice it's from Des Moines, Iowa. And I knew, of course, from this big push to get Wells Fargo that that's their headquarters for mortgages, and that's where the headquarters was at that time. It no longer is for REO. And so I called Kevin, and I said, Kevin, it's JoAnn. And he said, hi, And I said, Kevin, are you still in the mortgage business? And he said, oh, of course. And I said, do you know anyone at Wells Fargo? And he said, JoAnn, I work for Wells Fargo. And I said, wonderful, Kevin. And I said, so I told him the story, my story of woe and what I'd done. And he cracked up on the phone, and he said, let me work on that for you. So he wrote, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of cards and letters from people. And he wrote one of the top 10 most beautiful letters we've ever received and sent it to Kent, who was in charge of REOs. The next week, I got 22 Wells Fargo REOs. So I was in love with Kevin. I'm telling you, that was so wonderful because we needed it. 70% of our business remained our clients, but we needed that other 30%, So anyway, so that was great. Then the book came out. And of course, I sent all of my clients a book. So Kevin got a book. And Kevin said, oh, JoAnn, this is going to be so perfect. I just got a promotion. I'm the head of this department. And there are 82 departments on this campus for Wells Fargo and Des Moines. He said, I want you to come and speak to these people. And I said, Kevin, we're glad to come. But I said, Kevin, we are not speakers. Let me explain to you about it. Just come. Just come. So we went back to Des Moines, Iowa, and sat in a room about maybe this size. And there were 82 people in it because they were, chairs like this. And Kevin, and he gave us this wonderful introduction, and we sat down just like we are with you and talked about the book, okay? And it was just a love fest. It was. We're from Illinois, and they were Iowa, and it was work ethic, mid-America, and so now the book is required reading for every hire on the mortgage department part of Wells Fargo, okay? And it's part of their teaching curriculum. So I'm just pleased with myself here, going down thinking, this is hot stuff. So then about 3 Tuesdays ago, got a call from Wells Fargo, and they said, we'd like to come in and video you in your office. We said, well, of course, come ahead. So they flew in from San Francisco, 2 videographers, an audiographer, a producer, and a director for us to sit in our office and interview us about Clients First. Now that's going to go on their closed circuit for the web to their 100,000 employees throughout this world. Now that's what one client did for us. And I could tell you stories like that, forever. It is truly unbelievable. The book is here because of a client. We had 3 readers in the beginning. One was Marge Lindsay, and the other 2. And we picked these people because we thought the book was good, but we didn't want to be embarrassed in our own valley, and we swore them all to secrecy. Now, when you want everybody in town to know, this is what you do. You swear them to secrecy and ask them not to tell another living soul. So pretty soon, we had people calling us, I understand you've written a book, JoAnn, I'd like to read that book, and et cetera.
So we handed out manuscripts.
Yes, and they're fat like this, because there weren't books yet, And so, so time went by, and so all of a sudden, it was the fall of 2011. And so we decided, it's great, everybody likes the book, and we're going to self-publish it, and we're going to give it to agents. That was the whole plan for the book. And so, but it was Christmas time, and Joseph calls me a Christmas crazy, and I was just so excited, the book was good, and everything was good. So we just put it on the back burner to the next year. Then, the second Tuesday in January in 2012, I get a call from a gentleman named Richard at John Wiley & Son. And he said to me, JoAnn, I understand you've written a book. Well, I thought it was one of Marge's cronies calling me, and pulling my foot, and going, oh, sure, JoAnn, I'm from, So Joseph goes over to his computer and Googles this guy.
I Google everything.
He does. And he said, JoAnn, talk to him. So we FedExed him the manuscript on that Tuesday. And we now know on Wednesday he read it. And on Thursday, John Wiley & Son called us to publish our book. Now this book is a New York Times bestseller. It was #1 business book in the Wall Street Journal. We were published October 23rd, and I'm not sure what date, but maybe it was November 1st. We were #1 on Amazon, and a week later we were #1 on Barnes & Noble. Now that's because one of our clients were one of these first 50 readers, and evidently had, knew somebody in New York or knew Richard or something like that. But that's probably, I don't know still much about the book world, but in the book world I'm told that that's a miracle. You're dealing with, the old times kind of miracle. So, anyway, thank you. I want you all to take care of your clients. Make them your advocates, and then you'll be sitting here because you'll have the stories to tell. Thank you all so much. Thank you.